Hi guys, it's Nancy. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back. We have another stamp from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. I really like this one. It's the perfect accessory and complement to your Blue Knight Rubber Stamps collection. But what I wanted to do here was just show you guys how you can stamp these silhouette images on top of other images. There's a little bit of a learning curve with them because when you stamp them out, sometimes the lines kind of come through. So let me show you what I mean. So here, this is the stamp set. It's called Silhouette Sportsmen. And here we have Nancy fishing, of course. You know, I wish I were fishing right now, but it's way too cold out. And then we have these two guys here. And you have this kind of hiking guy, you have two hunters, and then we have our cute little Labrador here. Now the Labrador is attached to the hunter, but you can cut right there, do a little stamp surgery, and make him separate if you want, because he could be anybody's dog. But this is the perfect accessory for some of those stamps that we have from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. There's a lot of scenery stamps that you can practice your coloring with color pencils, with pan pastels, with markers. So just as an example, here is one here called Campsite. And you can see I colored it in, and sometimes what happens is when you use the same ink, so I use the ink to stamp him and stamp the outside of the scene, is it kind of gets blurred together, and sometimes the scene ink doubles up on your silhouette, so it gets really hard. So there's a couple things that you can do. Number one, you can stamp your scene first and then go in and add your silhouette image and heat emboss it. That's the easiest way to do it. So that's what I did here. This is some pattern paper in the background, and then I stamped the new silhouette trees and rocks, and then I stamped our hunter and I heat embossed the ground and him. So you don't see any blurring of lines there between the background and the foreground. It's just he's nice and crisp and dark. Okay, that's probably the easiest way to do it. Just stamping out with some black. VersaFine Clear ink works really good because it stays wet for a few seconds, and you can add your clear embossing powder on top of that. The second way is to stamp your background in a little bit lighter color. So I just want to show you an example here. So here is one I did, and I stamped it out in some Hero Arts shadow inks. Okay, and when you stamp that out, you can then proceed to color, and when you color it all in, it's going to look like this. And I use some Arteza soft pastel sticks on this. So you can see everything's in gray. It's nicely stamped out, and you can make the decision to leave it this way because it's not as dark, and then go in and add your silhouette. So here, for example, I have this little actually, we'll use this one. So here's one I stamped out. I haven't colored it yet. Once I decide where I want my little guy to go, I have this little silhouette of him cut out of masking paper. I can then go in and mask him off and color everything in, and then stamp him in black. So here is the second way, and then here is, once that's all colored in, I can decide where I want him. Now in this case, I really don't need the masking paper because this isn't dark enough to interfere with anything. So I'm going to bring in my little acetate just as my little guide. Decide where I want him. Put him right there in front. And we're going to stamp him out with some black Catherine Puller Midnight ink. I have my little handle on here. Really light tap on the ink there. Stamp that down on the acetate. Do I like the way that looks? I love it. Fabulous. Clean that up later. Re-ink him. All right, he looks pretty darn good, okay? And so we have this colored image. If you wanted to go back in and double stamp like we often do with pan pastels or color pencils, you could certainly do that. I like the lighter background because I want him to really be the focus. And then, of course, if you have your sentiment, you would stamp your sentiment on here. And you do want to spray, if you're using any kind of pan pastels or soft pastels or anything like that that could rub off, you want to spray that with some clear Krylon spray. So at this point, if I'm happy with this, maybe I'll add a sentiment on here. I would spray this and leave this as my image. So a couple of different ways. Again, you can use some pattern paper, stamp right over it, and see how that works out, which worked out fine here, but I really wanted, again, him to be the focal point, so I did some clear embossing on him and the ground. You can stamp it out in gray, mask it off, and then color it in, and then restamp that. So that's your option 2. Or option 3 is stamp it off again in gray. Oh, this is if you wanted to go back and add that second layer of black. So see here, that's really where that heat embossing is going to come in. See how he kind of gets lost in the background because he's the same color as the background? So if I had masked him off, which I clearly did not do, and then stamped him and heat embossed him, he really would have stamped and looked better. So I may go back and fix this one with some heat embossing. And then the third way is just to stamp it in gray, leave it in gray, color it in, and stamp him out. And then cut it down to where you want it, stamp your sentiment on there, and then use some spray fixative on it. So a couple different ways in using your solid silhouette stamp so that you get that nice crisp silhouette image. But check out these Sportsmen. They are great for so many scenes from Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. I think you guys are really going to enjoy them, especially those that are struggling with making some masculine cards. I'm from Pennsylvania, so this fits perfectly in the livelihood of so many of my friends and family with the hunting, fishing, camping, all of those good things. And keep in mind, this little dog, do not look at him as part of that guy. You can use this dog anywhere. I mean, I can put this dog right here. In fact, let's do that. Let's add our little dog. So I'm going to do some stamp surgery here. It's really easy. Does not hurt the stamp at all, I promise. So these are other ways you can stretch your stamps. Again, I'm going to bring my little piece of acetate in. Make sure I like the placement of our little dog. And when I cut this down, I will cut pretty much right to the base of his feet. Look at that. Oh, perfect. We're going to add the little dog. There we go. And he's nice and dark. Oops. Okay. If you have any questions, post them down below. I will link all of the products that I use down below for you guys. If you enjoyed this video and think you learned something new, I hope this helps out with your silhouette stamping. Please give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, guys, and keep on stamping. Bye-bye.